right, everyone, today we're going to learn about what makes an excellent major claim and how can I make one. Now, the first question that probably comes to your mind is what in the world is a major claim? I might have heard this in class, but I have no idea what it really is. Well, the major claim is the main argument of a text, whether that text is a persuasive essay, a speech, or a book review. Any type of text that isn't creative, meaning it's not a poem or a short story, but it's expository, meaning it's pretty much any other writing, has an argument, has a main argument. It might be a simple argument, but it has a main argument, and that's called the major claim. It is the overall point of your writing. It's the idea that you most want your reader to walk away both believing, so you've convinced them, and remembering. We usually call this our thesis. Maybe you guys have heard that term thesis. So why are we going to refer to it as the major claim? Well, whenever you're working with me on your writing, we're going to call it the major claim instead of our thesis, and this is why. Because one, the name is simply clearer. The word claim literally means an assertion of truth, a statement of truth, okay? And major means important, or in this case, we're going to say the biggest or overall. The second reason, which is really our bigger reason, is that in writing you want to display the greatest amount of logic and evidence. And in the study of logic, yes, there is a specific study of logic, which we will get to. The biggest argument is called your major claim, because a major claim necessitates or requires minor claims. So a major claim requires minor claims, or smaller arguments that prove your point. So we say, okay, this is the big point I'm trying to make, and then here are the little things I have to prove in order to get that big idea. Think about our murder mystery case, right? The person who, if I said so-and-so killed so-and-so for this reason, that's our big point. But then we have to make all kinds of minor claims. We have to prove that they were in the same room together. We had to prove that there was a motive. We had to prove that the person who did the killing was actually competent of doing that. So we have a lot of smaller points to make. Okay, so here's the meat of our video. Here's what you really want to know, take your notes on, etc. What makes an excellent major claim? Well, an excellent major claim is not, and you're going to see this orange is all my nots, okay? It is not a statement of fact or an obvious observation. A lot of us try to make an argument, but instead of an argument, we make an obvious observation. I'll show you some examples later. However, it is an original, debatable argument on a topic. Okay, so it's original, it's unique to you, and it's debatable. I could debate it from one side or the other. Now, often when we try to be original, some people try to be outrageous. A major claim is not an outrageous argument that has little or no evidence to support it. Sometimes I don't know how to be original, so I just go extreme and I try to prove something that makes no sense whatsoever. So we don't want to do that. What we do want to do is we want to make an assertion, a statement, with a good amount of evidence to support it, okay? Think about your favorite TV show or video game or something you really care about. I bet that you could make an assertion about which is the best character or something like that because you know a lot about it. You have a lot of evidence. Okay, finally, and here's a big one that a lot of you have to kind of unlearn. You learned this in elementary school, and I'm going to try to teach you a better way, a more academic way. A major claim, an excellent major claim, is not a list of reasons of why you believe something. So a lot of times we just think, here's what I believe and here's why I believe it. Instead, what you want to do is you want to create a holistic view on the topic you are writing about. Now, what does that mean, holistic view? A holistic view means that we give the big picture, the overall idea. We combine all those reasons, those individual reasons of why we think something, and we put it into one commentary. I'll show you what I mean with some examples as we go on. All right, so let's take some examples. Today, we are going to answer the question, what is the most inspirational place on earth? Okay, and I want to point this out. The question you have to answer in a piece of writing is called the writing prompt. So if I ever ask you, what is your writing prompt? What I'm asking you is, what is the question that you need to answer? Sometimes you have one question, sometimes you have lots of questions. But today we're going to answer, what is the most inspirational place on earth? Now, from my experience, this might not be the most inspirational place. I might argue something on a different day, but today I'm going to tell you one of the places that I really think is inspirational. So at least for today, I'm going to say my answer would be the south of France. This is me right after college in the south of France. You can see me with my glasses and so forth. And I love the south of France. There's a lot about the south of France that I find just beautiful and totally inspirational. I hated leaving when I had to. So now we got to figure out why. You always want to brainstorm, okay? Here's my argument now. Why do I believe what I think? Why do I think the south of France is the most inspirational place on earth? Well, let me give you some of my personal reasons. One, families have worked together for years. In the south of France, generations upon generations have owned the same land and have worked together to produce wine that is famous around the world. Families are unified, humbly work the land with their own hands, and are proud of their families and the drinks that they have produced. These are some vineyards I saw, and families just love to tell you about their work. They are so proud of what they do. They love it. Another reason, and here's a big one, is it's simply a quieter way of life. There's miles and miles of vineyards, so you don't really have a lot of big cities because you have all these vineyards. It's kind of like country life. So you have these little, they're straight up villages, and they've been there forever. And everybody knows each other. They really all have a certain mentality about them. Everyone who chooses to live in the south of France usually has had family who's lived there, and they all kind of stay in this older, simpler way of living. They know each other's name, they know each other's kids, they work together, and they like the way that they live their quiet lives. Here's one that I love. It is a place where the old and new charmingly meet. So this is me walking through town, and this is an original aqueduct center that has been there for centuries. This over here too is a cathedral, and it's the one essential church in the town because it's a little village that I went to go visit. It's essentially the only church, and yet here is this funny little food truck that I love. So many of the buildings that people live in are still the original buildings from centuries ago. Still, modern conveniences like internet cafes and food trucks live side by side, architecture, statues, and plants that have been there since the Renaissance. They have these villages that have been there. The same families live in the same buildings, but they've slowly gotten modern. I mean, you can get the internet. It might be slower, but you get the internet. You know, you get food trucks and stuff like that, but it's coming very slowly. All right, here's one final reason. There is a beautiful appreciation of faith. In this small village that I went to go visit, up on the hill is a statue of the Mother Mary, and this is the inside of that cathedral you just saw. Or it's not even a cathedral, it's like a chapel. But they put so much beauty into it. Most people in the south of France are Catholic. They've been Catholic for years, but they don't simply go to Mass, but they love their religious beliefs. There's not really a lot of artwork here because people are working so hard, but when it comes to showing off Christ's life and their religion, they just make it absolutely beautiful. It's breathtaking. All right, so now those are our reasons for why I think what I think. But how do I write a major claim that explains all of that? Well, let's take a look. Remember, an excellent major claim is not a statement of fact or an obvious observation. So let me give you an example. This is an example of what not to do. Families have worked together, have worked the land of the south of France for many generations. Well, that's obvious. That's a fact. We know that. There's nothing to prove. I mean, I guess I could try to highlight a family that's been there for years and years, but it's pretty obvious. It is now not an outrageous argument that has little to no evidence. So again, what not to do. Here's an example. The south of France is the only place on earth where a person can get true peace and quiet. Well, that's not true. That's simply not true. We can find lots of other places that we could get peace or quiet. And a lot of people think, oh, that's what makes it arguable. But you want it to be something you can actually support. Finally, it's not a list of reasons of why you believe something. So take a look at this. This is what a lot of you might do because you were taught it in 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, but we're trying to move beyond that. A lot of people would say the south of France is the most inspirational place on earth because families have worked the land there together for generations. It has a quieter way of life, old meets new there, and there is a great appreciation of faith there. We simply took my 4 reasons that I pointed out of why I think France is the most inspirational place on earth and stuck them together and called it a major claim. That's not really good. It's not an overall point. You're just showing off the list of paragraphs that you're going to write. And we want to get more advanced than that. Okay? Okay. Remember, an excellent major claim is, however, an original debatable argument on a topic. So an example is, anyone can be inspired by visiting the south of France. Okay, we'd have to prove that. It's debatable. I don't know if everybody could be. It's assertion with a good amount of evidence to support it. So here's an example. The south of France offers the most helpful conveniences of modern life without its usual stresses because people there focus only on the more important aspects of life. Well, heck, that's kind of a big idea to debate and to argue. I'm going to have to prove that. But from what you've seen, I have a good amount of reasons to believe that. I have a good amount of evidence, okay? It's a holistic view on the topic. So let me show you. Here's an example. The south of France is a great place to slow down and remember what matters most in life. That kind of combines all my individual reasons into one big idea, okay? Instead of listing out all those separate ideas as one huge argument, we put it together in one idea. All right, so let's put it all together. Take a look at these and look how we can put it all together to make one amazing major claim. And the winner is, anyone can be inspired by visiting the south of France because the area allows visitors to slow down and remember what matters most in life without removing them from the most helpful conveniences of modern life. Okay, let's double check. Is this a debatable argument or an obvious observation? Well, we have anyone, so it's already debatable. Is it reasonably easy to support? I showed a lot of evidence, so it's going to be reasonably easy to support. It's not going to be very, very hard to prove. It might take some work, but it's not going to be ridiculously hard to prove. It makes one holistic point. It's not simply a list of individual reasons. Here's one big concept, okay? It can inspire anyone because visitors can slow down, remember what matters most, without getting away from the most helpful conveniences of life. Yay, good job. Now, that was hard and I have lots of practice doing this, but yay, it's your turn now. You're going to try it with your own writing, okay? I will help you. I will take you along the way, but good luck. Try it out for yourself.